The air in the Zenthar throne room felt cold and thin. Daesung Kim stood very still near the back of the human group. He wore his best gray suit, but it felt wrong here. Everything felt wrong. The room was huge, made of smooth, glowing blue crystals that pulsed with soft light. Tall alien figures stood like statues along the walls, their skins shimmering silver or deep green. They had 3 arms and large dark eyes that watched everything. Daesung wasn't important. He was just the translator. His job was to listen, understand, and whisper quiet corrections to Ambassador Haewon Park if needed. He wasn't a scientist like Dr. Lee or a strong security officer like Commander Yeonwoo Seol. He was Daesung. He noticed small things like how the Empress's bioluminescent markings on her temples had flickered a worried red earlier, or how the young princess, So-min Valar, kept glancing at the humans with curious eyes. Ambassador Park stood tall in front of the group. Her voice was calm and strong as she spoke to the Zenthar Emperor and Empress. "Your Majesties," she said, bowing slightly, "we are honored by this meeting. Humanity offers friendship and trade." The Emperor, Kalen Valar, sat on a tall throne of woven light. He was large, with sharp angles to his face and stiff, formal robes. His skin was a pale gray. He said nothing. He just watched with cold, unblinking eyes. Beside him, the Empress, Lyra Valar, was smaller. Her robes flowed like water, and soft lights moved under her skin. She gave a small, polite nod, but Daesung saw it again, a quick flash of red light near her eyes. She's scared, he thought. Why? Princess Somin stood beside her mother. She looked young, maybe Daesung's age. Her robes were brighter, covered in tiny moving lights like stars. Her hair was dark and straight, held back by a silver clip. Her eyes were huge and deep black, but they held something soft, human. While her father looked only at rank and power, Somin's eyes moved over the humans. They paused on a nervous engineer, then on a kind-faced doctor. Daesung felt her look brush over him too, just for a second. He looked down quickly, pretending to check his notes. Ambassador Park introduced each human. "This is Dr. Lee, our lead scientist. She studies energy." Dr. Lee bowed. The Emperor gave a slow blink. No words. "Commander Saul, head of security." Commander Saul stood straight, hand near his sidearm. The Emperor's eyes narrowed slightly. Daesung held his breath. "Don't look at me. Win, please don't look at me." He was nobody, just the quiet man who knew languages. He saw the princess watching Commander Seol. Maybe she'll choose him, he thought with a small panic. Strong, safe, important. Then Ambassador Park finished. "And this completes our delegation, Your Majesties. We hope this marks the start of a long peace." Silence filled the crystal room. The only sound was the soft hum of the glowing walls. The Emperor finally spoke. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding. "Your technology is acceptable. Your species is new." It didn't sound like a compliment. The princess stepped forward. No one expected it. She moved like water, smooth and sudden. Her 3-fingered hand lifted. Daesung saw it, pointing. "At Commander Seol? At Dr. Lee?" Then the finger turned. It pointed straight at him. Daesung froze. His heart stopped. "Me?" Princess Somin's voice rang out, clear and strong, cutting through the silence. She spoke in perfect Korean, the words precise and formal. "I choose him." Her finger didn't waver. "I want him." The room exploded into quiet chaos. Ambassador Park's face went white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Commander Seol's hand flew to his weapon, but 2 Zenthar guards stepped in front of him, tall and silent. Dr. Lee gasped. On the throne, Emperor Kalen made a sharp sound. Click, click, click. It was the sound of his jaw snapping shut in anger. His gray skin seemed to darken. Beside him, Empress Lyra's bioluminescent markings flared bright red. Pure fear. But her eyes looked directly at Daesung. Not angry, relieved. Princess So-min didn't look at her parents. She kept her dark eyes locked on Daesung. And there was no smile, no teasing, just a quiet, serious certainty. Daesung couldn't move. His legs felt like stone. "Why me?" his mind screamed. I'm Dae-sung Kim. I translate boring trade documents. I drink too much coffee. I get lost walking to the market. I'm not special. He looked at Ambassador Park. Her eyes screamed, "What did you do?" He looked at Commander Soul. The commander's face was hard, but his eyes held a question. "What do you have that I don't?" Then Dae-sung saw him, a Zenthar noble standing near the throne, tall, proud, with sharp features and robes of deep purple. His name was Jun Ho Reth. His eyes burned with pure, icy rage as they fixed on Dae-sung. He was supposed to be chosen, Dae-sung realized with a chill. The princess was meant to pick him. The emperor stood up. The light throne dimmed as he rose. He was very tall. "Yeah, this is unexpected, daughter," he said, his voice dangerously low. "Explain." Princess Somin turned to her father. She bowed, but her voice stayed firm. "I have chosen, father. This one, Dae-sung Kim." She said his name like it was important, like it meant something. The emperor looked at Dae-sung as if he were a bug. "Why? He is, insignificant, a whisperer of words." Somin didn't flinch. "He sees." That was all she said. "He sees." The emperor clicked his jaw again. Hard. He looked at Empress Lyra. The empress gave the tiniest nod. Her red lights faded to a calm blue. She looked pleased. The emperor sighed, a sound like wind through dry bones. "Very well. Protocol is flexible." He waved a hand dismissively. "Take him." Two Zenthar guards moved. They didn't grab Dae-sung. They didn't need to. They just stood on either side of him, tall and silent, blocking him from the humans. Their presence was enough. Ambassador Park finally found her voice. It was a whisper. "Your Highness, there must be a mistake. He is vital to our delegation. The choice is made, Ambassador," the Emperor cut her off. "Your translator is now the princess's responsibility. You may return to your ship." "Wait," Dae-sung finally choked out. His voice sounded weak, strange in the huge room. "Please, why me? What do you want?" Princess Somin looked at him again. For a second, Dae-sung thought he saw something else in her eyes. Not command, not pride, fear. But it was gone in a flash. She said nothing, just turned and walked back to stand beside her mother, leaving Dae-sung alone with the guards. The guards guided him gently but firmly away from the human group. Dae-sung stumbled slightly. When he looked back once, Ambassador Park's face was a mask of horror. Commander Soul's eyes were sharp, calculating. Dr. Lee looked near tears. As he was led through a side archway of glowing crystal, Dae-sung saw the princess watching him go. Her hand lifted slightly as if to wave, but she stopped herself. Then the archway closed behind him with a soft shink, sealing him away from everything human. The corridor outside was narrow, lit by the same soft blue light. The air was colder. The guards walked silently on either side. Dae-sung's mind raced. What happens now? Do they eat people? Lock them up? Experiment on them? He thought of his small apartment on Earth, his favorite coffee shop, his mother's worried face when he left for the mission. "I'm going to die because a princess pointed at me." They stopped at a door that shimmered like water. The one guard touched it. The door flowed open. Inside was a room, not a cell, a room, soft light, a low bed, a small table, but no windows, no door except the one he came through. "Wait here," one guard said in slow, careful Korean. The voice was flat, emotionless. The door closed. Dae-sung was alone. He walked to the center of the room. He looked at the smooth walls. They glowed faintly. He pressed a hand against one. It was warm. He sees. What did that mean? What had he seen that no one else did? The Empress's fear, the princess's loneliness. He remembered the flickering red lights near the Empress's eyes. He'd noticed it because he'd been trained to read tiny signals. In negotiations, a twitch, a flicker, a change in breathing could mean everything. But here, among these tall, silent aliens, it was just noticing. He sank onto the bed. It was soft, too soft. He buried his face in his hands. His suit felt too tight. His head ached. Outside the glowing walls, the huge ship sailed silently through the black. Somewhere on it, A princess had broken all the rules by pointing at the quiet translator. And Dae-sung Kim, who only wanted to do his job and go home, had no idea what "I want him" truly meant. He only knew one thing for certain. Dae-sung didn't sleep. He sat on the soft bed, staring at the glowing walls. The room was quiet, too quiet. No city sounds, no hum of Earth's air systems, just silence and the soft pulse of blue light. He felt sick, his stomach twisted. What does "I want him" mean? He remembered old Earth stories, princesses taking servants. Or worse. He thought of Junho Reth's angry eyes. "He wants me gone." Or dead. Hours passed like cold water. The door shimmered open. Ambassador Park rushed in. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. Two Zenthar guards stood outside watching. "Dae-sung," she whispered, grabbing his arms. Her grip was tight. "What happened? Why you?" "I don't know." Dae-sung's voice cracked. "I just stood there. I didn't do anything." Park's eyes darted to the guards. "Lower your voice. This is bad. Very bad." She pulled him close. In Zenthar culture, when the crown princess chooses someone like this, it's not like our marriages. It's ownership. You belong to her now, her property, her responsibility. Dae-sung felt dizzy. Property? Like a thing? Essentially, yes. Park's voice was grim. "You can't refuse." The emperor agreed. "It's law. If you try to run—" She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Dae-sung saw it in her eyes. "They will kill you." "I fought. I said you're vital to the talks." They didn't care. To them, you're just a translator, expendable. She looked ashamed. "I have to leave soon. The humans are being sent back to our ship. You stay here." "Alone?" Dae-sung's throat closed up. "With the princess. Or her guards." Park squeezed his hands. "Listen carefully. Zenthar value logic and order. They hide emotions. Showing strong feelings is weak, dangerous. If you want to survive, do not show fear. Do not beg. Be calm. Be useful. Give them a reason to keep you alive." She glanced at the guards again. "I'll try to help from our ship. But Dae-sung, this is your fight now." The guards shifted. Park stepped back. Her eyes were wet. "Be smart. Be strong." Then she was gone. The door closed. Dae-sung was alone again. The next 3 days were the longest of his life. Food appeared. Strange, glowing cubes that tasted like cool water and mint. He ate because he had to. Water came in clear, soft containers. He drank, but time stretched like rubber. No windows, no clock. Just the soft light and silence. He paced the small room. 10 steps one way, 10 steps back. He thought of Earth, his mother's cooking, his little brother's laugh, the smell of rain on pavement. He thought of coffee, real coffee, not this mint water. He thought of his quiet job, translating boring reports. "I would give anything to do that boring job right now." He kept replaying the throne room, the princess pointing. He sees. What did he see? He closed his eyes. The Empress, her glowing skin patterns near her eyes, they had flashed red, fast, like a warning light. And then, when Ambassador Park spoke, the Empress's hands had tightened on her throne arm. Just for a second, Dae-sung had noticed. He always noticed small things. It was his job. But why would the princess care about that? On the 4th day, the door shimmered open. Dae-sung jumped back, heart hammering. It wasn't the guards. Princess So-min stood there. She wore simpler clothes now, soft gray robes without the bright stars. Her dark hair was loose. Her large black eyes looked tired. She held her hands clasped in front of her, like she was nervous. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her. Dae-sung didn't move. He remembered Ambassador Park's warning, "Do not show fear," but his hands were sweating. So-min looked around the room. She saw the untouched food tray. She looked at Dae-sung. Her voice was soft, in perfect Korean. "You are not eating." Dae-sung swallowed. "I'm not hungry." A small frown touched her lips. "You must eat. You will get sick." She walked slowly toward him. Dae-sung wanted to step back, but he stood his ground. She stopped a few steps away. She studied his face like he was a puzzle. You are afraid. Daesung's breath caught. She sees it. Of course she sees it. Yes, he admitted, his voice low. I am afraid. Somin tilted her head. Why? You are safe here. Safe? Daesung almost laughed. It came out shaky. I'm locked in a room on an alien ship. My friends are gone. The Emperor thinks I'm nothing. The man you didn't choose hates me. And you pointed at me and said I want him. He took a shaky breath. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you want. Somin's eyes widened slightly. Then to his shock, her lower lip trembled. A single drop of liquid, clear and bright like a diamond, rolled down her cheek. It wasn't water. It shimmered. Daesung froze. She's crying? An alien princess was crying in front of him. Somin wiped the tear quickly, but more came. Her voice was thick. You see that too? See what? Daesung whispered. The tears. She looked down ashamed. Weakness. Shameful. Daesung didn't understand. Crying isn't weak. To us it is. She looked up, her eyes full of pain. My people, we do not feel like this. Not openly, not strongly. We control it. We hide it. It is dangerous to feel too much. She touched her chest. But I feel everything. Daesung remembered Ambassador Park's warning. Do not show fear. But this was different. This was raw, real pain. He took a small step closer. What do you mean? When your ships first contacted us, Somin said, her voice trembling, your communication signals, they carried your emotions, your joy, your fear, your love, your anger, so loud, so messy. She hugged herself. It hurt, like needles in my mind. Most Zenthar felt nothing, or blocked it. But me, she looked at Daesung desperate. I felt it all, and I couldn't stop it. It made me sick, weak. My parents hid me. They thought I was broken. Daesung remembered the Empress's red flashing lights. She was worried about her daughter. The ceremony, Daesung said slowly. The Empress. She was distressed. Somin's eyes widened. You saw it? I saw her markings flash red. Once, when Ambassador Park spoke. Somin let out a shaky breath, relief mixed with tears. Yes, she was worried about me, worried I would fail, worried I would break. She looked at Daesung, her dark eyes searching his. You saw it when no one else did, not even my father. You saw her fear. Daesung felt a strange understanding click. So, you chose me because I see? Not just see, Somin said. She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. I need to learn how to feel without drowning, how to understand what I feel, how to be strong with feeling, not by hiding it. She looked directly at him, her voice dropping to a whisper. Humans, you live in the storm of feelings, and you survive. You even find joy in it. I need to know how. I need to learn from someone who sees the storm and doesn't look away. She stepped closer, close enough that Daesung could see the tiny lights in her skin pulse softly. You are not here to be my servant or my property. She spat the word like it was bitter. Quote, you are here to be my teacher, to teach me how to be human, enough to be Zenthar. Daesung stared at her. The quiet translator, the nobody. The princess needed him, not for strength, not for weapons, for this, for seeing what others missed, for understanding feelings. A strange warmth spread in his chest, pushing back the cold fear. It wasn't pride, it was purpose. But I'm not a teacher, he said. I'm just me. Somin managed a small, watery smile. Exactly. You are just Daesung Kim, who sees the Empress's fear, who notices a tear. She wiped her cheek again. Will you help me? Daesung looked at her. Really looked. Past the princess, past the alien. He saw a young woman, scared and alone, just like him. He saw the same fear he felt, but locked inside a cage of duty. He remembered Ambassador Park's words, be useful. It give them a reason to keep you alive. This was it. His reason. He took a slow breath. Calm, like Park said. How do we start? Soman's shoulders relaxed. A real small smile touched her lips. You eat, she said, pointing to the food tray. And I will try not to cry. Daesung walked to the tray. He picked up a glowing cube. It felt cool. He took a bite. It tasted like mint, but also like hope. Soman watched him eat. She didn't speak, but she stayed. And for the first time since the princess pointed at him, Daesung didn't feel alone. He felt needed, not for what he could do with weapons or tech, but for what he carried inside, his heart, his eyes, his very human way of seeing the world. The guards would come soon. The emperor would be angry. Junho-Reth would scheme. But in this quiet room, with the princess who chose him for seeing a mother's fear, Daesung Kim understood something vital. His weakness was his strength, and humanity's greatest power wasn't in its fists or its ships. It was in its heart. He finished the cube. The mint taste was clean. The fear was still there, but now it had company, purpose. He looked at Soman. Tomorrow, he said, his voice steady, we start with something small. How about how humans say good morning when they're sad? Soman's eyes lit up, not with light, but with understanding. Yes, she whispered, tell me. And Daesung began. Not as a prisoner, not as property. Daesung stood on the balcony of the imperial palace. Below, the city of Velara Prime stretched out. Tall crystal towers glittered under twin suns. Strange, silent vehicles glided through the air. The air smelled sharp, still like cold metal and ozone. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. He was not free. He was a guest, a watched guest. Princess Soman had named him Cultural Observer. It sounded important. It wasn't. It meant he was allowed to walk with her in the palace gardens, under guard. It meant Zenthar nobles like Junho-Reth looked through him like he was glass. Or worse, looked at him with open hate. Junho-Reth was everywhere. He wore deep purple robes that marked his high rank. His eyes followed Daesung like a hawk watching a mouse. He whispered to other nobles when Daesung passed. Daesung didn't need to understand Zenthar to know the words were poison, weak human, dangerous influence, unworthy. Emperor Kalen never spoke to Daesung. He watched him coldly during rare meals. His silence was heavy, like a stone on Daesung's chest. And only Soman treated him like a person. She came to his rooms every morning, ready to learn. Today they sat in a small garden room. Sunlight fell through clear crystal walls. Soman held a simple wooden bowl Daesung had asked for. Inside was rice, steamed vegetables, and a small piece of grilled fish. Food Commander Yeonwoo Sol had sent from the human ship. Like this, Daesung said. He picked up a small piece of fish with his chopsticks. He didn't eat it. He held it out. When someone gives you food, you offer a piece back first. It says thank you. It says we share. Somin copied him carefully. Her 3 fingers made the chopsticks clumsy. She offered him a piece of rice. Her eyes were focused, serious. Like this? Yes, Daesung smiled. Now eat. They ate quietly. Somin chewed slowly, tasting each bite. Humans eat with others often, not alone? Often together, Daesung nodded. Meals are for talking, for laughing, for feeling close. Somin looked down at her bowl. In the palace, we eat alone, or in strict order. Rank first. Silence is polite. She swallowed hard. It is lonely. Daesung understood. He remembered his family dinners on Earth. Loud, messy, full of laughter and arguing. He missed it fiercely. Try this, he said gently. He told a simple joke he'd heard as a child. A silly story about a dog and a hat. Somin stared. Then a small sound escaped her. A soft huff, like air pushed out fast. Her bioluminescent markings flickered faintly. Pale yellow. Confusion? It's funny? She asked. Yes, Daesung said. He smiled wider. You laugh. Like this. He made the soft huff sound again, in adding a little shake of his shoulders. Suman tried again. The huff came out louder. Her markings flickered yellow again. brighter. Then suddenly a real sound. A tiny, clear laugh, like bells. She covered her mouth, shocked. Her eyes widened. It felt good. Daesung laughed too. Real laughter. Warm and deep. Somin watched him, her markings shifting to soft blue. Calm, curious. She tried to laugh again. It was awkward, but it was real. Junho Reth chose that moment to enter the garden room. His face was like stone. Princess, he bowed stiffly. Disturbing your studies? His eyes cut to Daesung. Teaching? Laughter? Is this how humans prepare for important duties? Somin stood up straight, her markings dimmed to a cool gray. It is part of understanding, Lord Reth. Understanding? Junho scoffed. Understanding weakness? A chaos. Your father worries, Princess. He sees you, distracted. By this. He didn't look at Daesung, but the insult hung in the air. The energy convergence ceremony is soon. The whole Concord watches. Will you be ready, or will you be laughing? He turned and left. The air felt colder. Somin's markings flickered red. Anger. Stress. She clenched her fists. He wants me to fail. Maybe, Daesung said quietly, but you won't. How do you know? Her voice trembled. Because you see the red lights, Daesung said. You feel the stress. Now you know what it is. Before it would have hurt you, silenced you. Now, you can breathe through it. You can use it. He took a slow breath in, out. Somin copied him. Her markings softened back to blue. She nodded calmer. Teach me more. Days passed. They practiced small things. How humans say, good morning, even when sad. How they touch a friend's arm to show care. How tears aren't just weakness. Sometimes they clean the heart. Somin learned slowly, painfully. Her empathic senses still overwhelmed her. A servant's hidden sadness could make her dizzy. A child's loud joy could give her a headache. But Daesung taught her to name the feelings, to sit with them, to let them pass, like weather. Then came the energy convergence ceremony. The great hall was packed. Zenthar nobles in shining robes, important guests from other star systems. Emperor Kalen sat on a high dais, watching the massive energy core, a swirling ball of light in the room's center. Somin stood beside him, ready to assist. Daesung stood near the back, with the other observers, guarded closely. Junho Reth stood proudly near the core controls. The Emperor began the ritual words. Somin stepped forward to add her part. Suddenly, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The energy core pulsed violently. Chaos. Men in dark uniforms, not palace guards, rushed from hidden doors. They carried weapons that glowed hot. They fired at the Emperor's guards. Energy bolts sizzled through the air. People screamed. Nobles ducked behind pillars. Daesung saw it happen. A bolt meant for the Emperor. Kalen moved slowly, caught by surprise. The bolt hit his shoulder. He cried out. A sharp, painful sound Daesung had never heard from the proud Emperor. Kalen fell to his knees. Somin screamed. It wasn't a scream of fear. It was a scream of pure, raw feeling. Daesung felt it hit him like a physical wave. The terror of the crowd, the Emperor's pain, a Somin's horror and love and panic, all crashing into her sensitive mind at once. It was too much. Somin clutched her head. Her bioluminescent markings exploded in violent, strobing colors. Red, white, black. She dropped to her knees, shaking. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The storm of emotions was drowning her. Junho Reth moved fast. He pushed through the panicked crowd toward the dais. He ignored the injured Emperor. He grabbed Somin's arm hard. Princess, come, we must flee. The palace is unsafe. His voice was loud, commanding. Your father is hurt. I will protect you. But Somin was lost. She rocked back and forth, eyes wide and unseeing, tears like liquid crystal streaming down her face. She was breaking. The coup plotters saw their chance. They stopped firing. They stood tall, weapons ready. Junho Reth faced the crowd. He raised his voice, strong and clear. The Emperor is injured. The princess is overwhelmed. I, Junho Reth, loyal servant of the conquered, will take command. Stand with me for order. Some nobles hesitated. Some began to step forward, drawn by his strength, his promise of control. The crowd's fear was shifting, turning towards Junho, away from the broken princess. Daesung saw it. He saw Junho's triumph. He saw So Min crumbling. He saw the emperor bleeding on the floor. No, he didn't think. He acted. He pushed past his guards. They grabbed his arms, but he shouted, "She needs me, now!" He didn't fight. He ran. He reached So Min just as Junho tried to pull her up. Daesung dropped to his knees beside her. He didn't touch Junho. He didn't look at the guards. He looked only at So Min. And her eyes were empty, lost in the storm. "Princess," he said, his voice low and calm. Just for her. He spoke in Korean, their secret language. "So Min, listen to me." She didn't react. He remembered her lesson from yesterday, how humans find calm. He closed his eyes. He thought of his grandmother's garden on Earth, the smell of wet soil after rain, the sound of bees in the flowers, the warm sun on his face, the simple, deep peace of it. He spoke softly, just to So Min. "Remember the garden? The quiet place? Feel the sun, smell the earth. Breathe with me." He took a slow, deep breath in, held it, let it out slowly. He did it again. "Breathe with me, So Min. In and out." Nothing. Again. In and out. A tiny gasp. So Min's chest moved. She tried to copy him. Her breath was ragged, painful. "Again," Daesung whispered. "Yeonip." The garden. Out. The storm. Her breath came slower. Her shaking lessened. Her wild markings flickered, searching for calm. "Good," Daesung said. "Now, feel the ground, solid, safe. You are here, with me." So Min's eyes focused, just a little. She looked at him, really looked. The storm in her eyes was still there, but she could see him through it. "Help me," she whispered in Korean. "I am here," Daesung said. "Breathe. Just breathe." They breathed together, slow, deep. In the middle of the chaos, in the center of the panicked hall, they created a small island of calm. So Min's markings softened. The violent colors faded. They settled into a deep, steady blue, calm, focused. She stood up, slowly. Daesung stood with her, his hand lightly on her back. Not holding her up, just reminding her he was there. She turned to the crowd. And not with Junho's command, not with her father's cold logic. She spoke with her heart, raw and clear. Her voice, amplified by the hall, carried her pain, her fear for her father, but also her love for her people. "My father bleeds," she cried. Her voice cracked, but it was strong. "You feel fear. I feel it too. It is in your eyes, in your hearts. But fear does not make us weak. It makes us human. It makes us Zenthar. Look at him." She pointed to the injured emperor. "He is strong, but even strength needs help. We are not alone in fear. We are together." She opened her arms, not in command, but in invitation. "Feel my fear. Feel my love. We share this storm. Stand with me, not for order, for each other." The crowd was silent. Then a single voice. An old noblewoman stepped forward. She placed her hand over her heart. Ara then reached out towards So Min. Her markings glowed soft blue. Another joined, then another. Nobles, guards, servants. They didn't raise weapons. They raised their hands, over their hearts. Then towards the princess. A wave of blue light spread through the hall. Calm, unity. The coup plotters looked around, confused. Their strength, fear and control, was useless here. The crowd turned on them, not with weapons, but with presence, with shared feeling. The plotters dropped their weapons. Junho Reth stood alone, his face twisted in rage and disbelief. Guards moved in. The emperor was helped up, his eyes on So Min and Daesung, on the crowd's blue light, on the human who taught his daughter to sail the storm. Daesung let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. So Min leaned against him, just slightly, exhausted, but standing. As she looked at him, her eyes said what words couldn't. "Thank you." Daesung nodded. He saw the emperor watching them, not with coldness now, with something new, something like respect. Sunlight streamed through the crystal windows of the imperial palace. Daesung sat beside So-min in her private room. Her hands were wrapped in soft bandages. She'd grabbed a falling energy crystal during the coup. Her eyes were tired but calm. The violent storm of emotions that had broken her was gone, replaced by quiet strength. "Your father called for us," Daesung said gently. He held a cup of mint water. It tasted flat today. So-min nodded. She didn't speak. The night after the coup had been long. Guards arrested Junho Reth and his men. The emperor was treated for his wound. The palace buzzed with whispers. "The humans saved us." Oh no, the princess used feelings as a weapon. Daesung knew today's meeting would decide everything. 2 guards escorted them to the emperor's recovery room. It was smaller than the throne room. Warm light, soft cushions. Emperor Kalen sat upright, his shoulder bandaged. His gray skin looked paler, but his eyes were sharp, focused. Empress Lyra stood beside him, her bioluminescent markings a steady, calm blue. "Sit," the emperor said. His voice was rough but not cold. Daesung and So-min knelt on cushions across from him. Silence filled the room. Heavy, waiting. The emperor looked at Daesung. Really looked. Not through him. "You ran," he began. "When chaos came, you ran toward the storm. Not away." Daesung swallowed. "Princess So-min needed help." "Why?" The emperor leaned forward slightly. "You are not her guard, not her family. You are human, weak, emotional, chaotic." He said the words without anger, just curiosity. "Why risk yourself?" Daesung thought of the garden, the bees, the wet soil, the simple peace. He thought of So-min shaking on the palace floor. "Because she is my friend," he said simply. "Friends help friends, even when it is scary." The emperor's mandibles clicked softly, not in anger, in thought. "Your method, calming her with breath, with memories. It is not logic. It is not Zenthar." "It is human," Daesung said. "We feel storms too, but we learn to stand in them, together." Empress Lyra stepped forward. Her voice was soft, like wind through leaves. "Kalen, remember the first meeting? On the ship?" The emperor frowned. "The human translator noticed your distress." "Yes," the empress said. She looked at Daesung. "You saw my fear, and when no one else did, not even my husband." She touched her temple. "My markings flashed red, a sign of deep worry. I was afraid for So-min, afraid her empathy would destroy her, that she would never find her place." She turned to her daughter. "I saw you watching the humans, saw how their raw emotions both hurt you and called to you. I knew you needed someone who saw the world differently, someone who saw people, not just positions." So-min's eyes widened. "Mother, you wanted me to choose him?" "I hoped," the empress corrected gently. "I could not command it, but I made sure you saw him. I knew he noticed things others missed." She looked at Daesung. "You saw my fear, and you saw her need, before she even knew it herself." The emperor was silent for a long time. He looked at So-min, at her bandaged hands, at her calm, steady markings, then at Daesung. "During the attack," he said slowly, "my guards froze. Logic failed them. The threat was unexpected, unordered." He paused. "But you, human, you acted without orders. You used feeling, and it worked." He shook his head as if amazed. "You turned fear into strength, not by silencing it, by sharing it." Daesung felt hope bloom in his chest. "Feelings aren't the enemy, Emperor. They are a tool, like your energy cores. Dangerous if uncontrolled, powerful if understood." The Emperor stood up slowly, wincing at the pain. He walked to the window. Below, the city glittered. "For centuries, we Zenthar believed logic was the only path to peace. That emotion was weakness, that to be strong, we must be cold." He turned back. His eyes held something new. Respect. "Your people, you carry a light we lack. The light of the heart. Last night, that light saved us." He walked to Daesung, stood before him. "You are not just a translator. You are a bridge." He placed a 3-fingered hand on Daesung's shoulder. The touch was firm, warm. What do you need to build that bridge stronger? Daesung didn't hesitate. A place, a safe place, where Zenthar and humans can learn from each other. Not just trade goods, trade understanding. He spoke quickly, the idea forming as he spoke. We call it emotional intelligence, not weakness, a skill, like engineering. We teach Zenthar to feel safely. Humans learn your logic. Together we make better choices, for everyone. The Emperor nodded slowly. It will not be easy. Many will resist, like Junho. Junho is gone, Somin said firmly. His power was fear, but fear is weak when people stand together. The Emperor's markings flickered, a soft, thoughtful green. Very well. You will lead this initiative with my full support. He looked at Daesung. You are no longer just a cultural observer. You are the director of the Zenthar Human Understanding Project. Daesung's breath caught. Director. He, Daesung Kim, who got lost walking to the market, was now in charge of something huge. The Emperor turned to his daughter. And you, Somin, you will co-lead. You felt the storm. You know how to navigate it. Somin bowed deeply. Pride shone in her eyes. Not just for herself, for Daesung. News spread fast. That afternoon, Daesung walked through the palace gardens. No guards shadowed him closely. They walked a respectful distance behind. Nobles passed him. Some still looked away. But others there stopped. An old scientist, Master Taewook, approached. His markings glowed a hesitant yellow. Human director, he said stiffly, I studied your species' music, the one called blues. It is complex. How does sadness make such beauty? Daesung smiled. It doesn't hide the sadness. It uses it, like paint. He hummed a simple blues tune. Master Taewook listened. His markings shifted to soft blue. I see. He bowed slightly. Thank you. Later, near the training yard, Daesung saw Commander Yeonwoo Sol. The human security chief stood tall, arms crossed. He watched Zenthar guards practicing drills. His face was hard. Commander, Daesung greeted him. Yeonwoo turned. His eyes were sharp. Director Kim. The title felt strange on his lips. Heard the news, big job. It's not about jobs, Daesung said. It's about trust. Yeonwoo grunted. Trust is earned, not given. He nodded toward the Zenthar guards. They still look at us like we're bugs, weak, soft. But we saved them, Daesung said. Not with weapons. With this, he tapped his chest. Our hearts. Yeonwoo studied him. Then slowly he nodded. Maybe, but hearts don't stop energy bolts. Keep your head clear, Daesung. This isn't over. He walked away, but his shoulders were less tense. Daesung knew Yeonwoo was right. Not everyone would change, but change had begun. That evening he met Somin in the quiet garden room. She held 2 bowls of rice. My father sent this, she said, from the palace kitchens. He said, a shared meal is the first lesson. Daesung smiled. He picked up his chopsticks, offered her a piece of vegetable. She took it, then offered him one. A simple exchange, full of meaning. They ate in comfortable silence. Sunlight faded to soft twilight. Somin's markings glowed a peaceful blue. He asked about Earth, she said quietly. About your mother's cooking? Your brother's laugh. Daesung's eyes stung. Really? Somin nodded. He said, tell me about the garden. Daesung closed his eyes. He saw it again. The wet soil, the buzzing bees, the warm sun. He described it slowly. Somin listened, her markings shifting with each detail. Green for curiosity, soft yellow for joy. When he finished, she placed her hand over her heart, then reached out, gently touching his arm, a Zenthar gesture of deep trust. Thank you, she whispered, for the garden, for everything. Daesung covered her hand with his. We built this together, Somin. Outside, the palace hummed with new energy. Not the hum of weapons or engines, the quiet hum of understanding growing. Junho's supporters were fading. Without his anger to feed them, their fear had no power. More nobles approached Daesung, asking questions. wanting to learn. A young Zenthar girl, no older than 10, shyly showed him a drawing she'd made. A human and a Zenthar holding hands under two suns. Daesung pinned it to his wall. That night, he stood on his balcony. Below, the city lights glittered like stars fallen to earth. He thought of Earth, his mother's voice, his brother's laugh. He missed them fiercely. But he didn't feel lost anymore. He felt needed, not for strength, not for weapons, for his heart, for the quiet, messy, powerful thing inside him that saw a mother's fear, that calmed a storm with a memory of bees, and that taught a princess how to sail the sea of feelings. A shadow moved beside him. Emperor Kalen stood there, looking out at his city. His shoulder was still bandaged. His markings glowed a deep, thoughtful green. "You gave us a gift, Director Kim," he said without turning. "Not just peace, understanding." He paused. "My people called it weakness. We were wrong. It is the strongest light of all." He placed a hand on the balcony rail. Not on Daesung, but close, a silent offer of trust. Daesung looked at the Emperor, at the city, at the stars beyond. Humanity's place in the galaxy wasn't won by big ships or loud voices. It was built here, in this quiet moment, with a simple truth. To feel deeply wasn't weakness. It was the bravest thing of all, and it was finally truly valued. 1 year later, Daesung stood on the observation deck of the constellation of shared skies. The space station floated peacefully near a colorful nebula. Inside the clear wall, stars glittered like diamonds. Below, in the station's central garden, Zenthar and human children played together. Daesung wore a simple gray uniform with a small badge, Director of Human Cultural Integration. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like himself. Just more. Ambassador Park walked up beside him. She wore Earth's diplomatic colors now, not the stiff suit from the throne room. She smiled, her eyes warm. "Look at them," she said, nodding toward the garden. Daesung followed her gaze. A human boy, maybe 6 years old, sat crying on the soft grass. He'd scraped his knee. A Zenthar girl, her skin shimmering silver, knelt beside him. She didn't speak. She placed a small 3-fingered hand on his back. Then she hummed. A soft, low sound Daesung recognized. It was the calming tune he had taught Somin during her hardest days. The boy's tears slowed. He looked up. The Zenthar girl offered him a small blue flower from the garden. He took it, smiled. Park wiped her eye. "Who would have thought? A year ago you were locked in a room, terrified. Now, this." Daesung watched the children. "It wasn't me, it was us, humans and Zenthar, learning each other." Park nodded. "The Empire calls it the Understanding Project. Back home they call it the Daesung Effect." She chuckled. "You made feeling strong." Before Daesung could answer, a familiar presence stood beside him. Somin. She wore the robes of Crown Regent now, deep blue with silver threads. Her bioluminescent markings glowed calm and steady. She looked at the children, then at Daesung. Her eyes held the quiet strength of someone who had faced the storm and learned to dance in the rain. "You taught her that hum," Somin said softly, pointing to the Zenthar girl. "I did," Daesung admitted, "but you taught her to use it." Somin stepped closer. She didn't touch him, but her nearness was comfort. "My father is here. He wanted to see the station." Daesung turned. Emperor Kalen stood near the garden entrance. He walked slowly, his old shoulder wound still stiff, but his gray skin held a warmth it never had before. He watched the children. A Zenthar boy and a human girl built a tower together from soft, glowing blocks. When it fell, they laughed and started again. No anger, just trying. The Emperor saw Daesung watching him. He walked over. His voice was low, rough but kind. "The garden grows well." Daesung knew he meant more than the plants. "Yes, Emperor. The soil is good here." Kalen nodded. "Your people, they share their food easily, their laughter, their sadness." He paused, choosing words carefully. "We used to see this as chaos. Now, we see it as life." He looked at Somin. "She is ready." Somin bowed. "Thank you, Father." Kalen placed a hand on her shoulder. Then, to Daesung's surprise, he gave a single, slow nod. the deepest Zenthar sign of respect. The Concord is stronger with your light, Director Kim. He walked away, leaving them alone. So Min watched him go. He visits often now, to learn. She turned to Daesung. Remember when I said I needed to learn how to feel without breaking? Daesung remembered the palace room, her tears like liquid crystal, her fear of the storm inside her. Yes, I did not just learn to survive the storm, Somin said. She touched her chest. I learned to sail it. Because of you. She looked out at the stars. The Empire used to fear emotion. Now we study it. Your emotional intelligence lessons, they are taught in every school. We even have human teachers on Vilara Prime. She smiled faintly. Master Tae Wook composes music now. Real music, with feeling. Daesung felt a lump in his throat. What about Jun-ho? Somin's markings flickered faintly red. Anger but controlled. He is in a quiet place, learning, slowly. Some wounds take time. She looked at Daesung, her eyes serious. You gave us a gift, Daesung, not just peace, connection. Below, the children's game changed. They formed a circle, holding hands, human and Zenther fingers intertwined. They began to sing. A simple song Daesung knew, a human lullaby Somin had asked him to teach the station's teachers. The words were in Korean, but the meaning was clear. We are not alone. The stars are with us. Somin closed her eyes, listening. Her markings glowed soft blue. Peace. Joy. This is what I wanted, she whispered. Not a servant, not a weapon, but this. She opened her eyes. You showed us the storm and taught us we don't have to fear drowning in it. We can learn to sail. Daesung watched the circle of children. The scraped-kneed boy held the Zenthar girl's hand tightly. They swayed together, singing off-key but happy. He thought of Earth, his mother's voice singing that same song to him as a child, his little brother's laugh, the smell of rain on pavement. He didn't feel homesick anymore. He felt home. Where do we go from here? He asked. Somin pointed to the stars beyond the nebula. Further, together, the Concord and Earth are building new stations. Trade is growing, but more importantly, she turned to him, her dark eyes holding his. We are learning to see each other, not as aliens, as people. She touched his arm, the Zenthar gesture of trust. You are not just my teacher anymore, Daesung. You are my friend, my bridge. Daesung covered her hand with his. And you are mine. They stood in silence, watching the children. The song ended. The circle broke into giggles. A human girl chased a Zenthar boy through the flowers. The boy tripped. The girl helped him up. They bowed to each other, human and Zenthar manners mixing into something new, something whole. Ambassador Park joined them again. She held out a small cup. Mint water? From the garden? Daesung took it. The taste was cool, clean, like hope, like home. Park looked at Somin. Your Highness, the Council asks if Earth can send more teachers for the new stations. Somin smiled. Tell them yes, but not just teachers of language or science, teachers of heart. She looked at Daesung. Teachers who see the red lights. Park nodded. I will. She squeezed Daesung's shoulder. Proud of you, Director. Then she left them alone again. Somin walked to the edge of the deck. Daesung followed. Below, the garden glowed under soft lights. Fireflies, real earth fireflies, drifted among the crystal flowers. A human child pointed at one, amazed. A Zenthar elder showed her how to cup her hands gently to hold it. One, you saved me that day in the palace, Somin said quietly. Not just from the coup, from myself. Daesung shook his head. You saved yourself. I just handed you the oar. She laughed, a clear, bell-like sound. The same laugh she'd struggled to make in the garden room a year ago. You are too humble, Daesung Kim. Humanity is too humble. She gestured to the stars. You could have demanded power, ships, weapons, but you gave us something quieter, something deeper. She met his eyes. You gave us heart. Daesung thought of the throne room, the cold fear, the finger pointing at him. I want him. He hadn't understood then. He did now. The princess hadn't wanted a servant or a soldier. She'd wanted a light in the dark, a human heart. He looked out at the nebula, a swirl of pink and blue gas, birthing new stars. Kate, we didn't give it, he said softly. We shared it, because hearts grow brighter when they shine together. Soman was silent for a long moment. Then she placed her hand over her heart, then reached out to touch the glass wall, toward the stars, toward Earth. The old ways called feeling weakness, she said, but weakness does not build bridges. Weakness does not calm storms. Weakness does not make children laugh together under two suns. She turned to him, her markings glowing a deep, steady blue, the color of trust, of home. What we carry inside, this messy, loud, beautiful storm of feeling, this is not weakness, Dae-sung, she smiled, the first real, unguarded smile he'd seen since the throne room. This is strength, Dae-sung smiled back. He didn't need to translate this. Some things needed no words. Below, the children started singing again. A new song, simple, human, Zenthar, the same. Dae-sung closed his eyes. He felt the hum of the station, the warmth of the sun through the glass, the quiet presence of a friend beside him.